Hi, I'm Gracie Brown, and I'm National Sports Media Association intern, and I'm here with Mr. Switzer, who is the Sportscaster of the Year in Wyoming. I just want to ask you in this interview, how did you get interested in the industry of sportscasting?
Sportscasting is a sidebar. It wasn't what I was going to be when I grow up. Um, I am a small market radio station owner, manager, janitor, lawnmower, toilet unstopper. We bought our radio stations 30 years ago. This is 45 years in the business for me. I have always been a disc jockey or a morning announcer or a news guy or a sports guy. When we bought the radio stations here in Douglas in 1995, people said, "Well, you're going to do play-by-play, aren't you?" Oh, well, I guess I am, as a matter of fact. Um, in school, I was always like the last kid picked. I sat in the corner with the ugly girls. I couldn't catch a ball. I couldn't throw a ball. I couldn't kick a ball. I couldn't put a ball through a hoop. I couldn't hit a ball with a stick. I was like the voted the last to ever do anything with sports. So the fact that I ended up doing play by play was not on my bucket list. The first few years I did it were horribly embarrassingly ugly because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't I mean I had a basic um guy in the stands understanding of football and basketball, but um, my community was particularly graceful to me and didn't run me out of town for being bad at it. I couldn't get fired because I'm my own boss. And if I fired me, I'd have to hire somebody else. So I didn't start off wanting to do this, and I didn't start off with a deep sports background. What it forced me to do was to broadcast a view of the ball game that I couldn't tell you what the set was for football. I didn't know what a forefront was. I didn't know any of that stuff, so I was very visual with what I did, and I was embarrassingly stupid about what I did, but people enjoyed watching the game through my non-player eyes. And now it's 30 years later and I'm winning awards for it. So yay team.
That's pretty amazing. Can you take us through your path from your first job to owning the radio station and where you are now?
First job was my junior year in high school. The girl that sat next to me in band had a part-time job at a little tiny AM radio station in our town. And she said, "You're in band and you're on speech team. You should come apply for this open job at the radio station." And I did, and I got the job, and I spent the summer of '77 spinning albums and 45s and playing commercials off of tape cartridges. Again, I didn't know what I was doing, but you kind of get thrown in and learn how to swim. I got fired from that job the beginning of my senior year. I worked weekends and I took most weekends off because I had a band trip or a speech trip or a family vacation or the boss fired me and I held it against him for years. Um, Went to college for a year, traveled for a while, got my first full-time job at a little kilowatt AM station when I was 20. And that was 7 to midnight spinning records for $500 a month and all the records I could eat. And I've spent the last 45 years in Eastern Wyoming working for somebody else. And then we had an opportunity to buy the worst radio stations in the state um, for a little tiny bit of money back in 1995. And and we came to Douglas. Douglas is a wonderful, wonderful community. It's a small town of 6,500 people. It's one high school. Um, in the fall and the winter, it's football and basketball. That's what we do here. And so doing sports in a small market is so important. It's not a commodity. It's our kids. And so I looked at the list of winners this year. There's a couple of us. The guys from Yankton, South Dakota, are also a small market. It's a small town with one high school. Maybe I don't think they have two high schools. And we're just such a piece of the fabric of the community that man, it's sweet. It's not that I wouldn't want to do big, but man, small is good. Small is so sweet. I've spent 45 years doing radio. I have lots of friends that either came up in sales or they bought as not broadcasters, and I've been blessed to be able to do this my whole adult life, and it's just good. It's just
That's pre-
sweet.
that's pretty awesome. I like the small town um radio broadcasting. I live in a small town outside of Greensboro, North Carolina. So we have one high school in my little town that I live in, and we have one radio station that broadcasts the game for that
Yeah.
one high school, which is pretty cool. What advice do you have for people like me who want to get involved in the industry?
Don't be afraid to do stupid things that you don't know what to do. Um, I will tell you as an owner manager, um, we nationwide, we struggle to find kids that want to get into the business. In the 1970s, man, we wanted to be disc jockeys. That was a cool thing to work at the radio station. Um, the world has changed in 40 years, 50 years. And so we struggle to honestly, we struggle to find people who will show up for work. If you get hired someplace, show up for work. Duh. That's like almost stupid advice that we shouldn't have to give. But I hear over and over again, I hired somebody and then they came for a week and I never heard from them again. Show a little more commitment than that. Be willing to step into a radio station. You want to be a sportscaster, you want to be a sports announcer, you want to do play-by-play. Um, I get that. You got your list of I want's, but don't be afraid. In fact, embrace the fact that you will do a little bit of everything because I'm going to hire you to do a little bit of everything. And that may include commercial production. That may include on-site reporting. That may include taking the station vehicle and taking it to the car wash. That probably will include some sales and marketing. So give yourself a little bit of a background. Understand that radio is a business. Calling a ball game is a business. If you don't sell those commercials during the ball game, you don't get paid. Neither do I. And so understand that especially in smaller markets, you're gonna need to be ready to learn some marketing, to get some marketing skills, and understand the business, not just the business of play-by-play, not just the business of sports coverage, but the business of broadcasting, the business of media. Give yourself a broad enough background. When I went to the bank to buy the radio stations, I did a lot of things. I did a lot of things 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. I wasn't great at, I was good at some things, but there were a lot of things that I had a little bit of experience with, and it was enough to get me that first loan. So understand the breadth of the business and not just the depth of I want to do this.
Well, thank you very much. That is very helpful for me and anyone else who is listening to this video on YouTube later and wants to get involved in the industry. So congratulations again on your award and thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Gracie, thank you.